you very much, Mr. Chairman. I want to recognize Mr. Lohmeier, Mr. Overbaugh, and Mr. Zimmerman, and also our colleague, Senator Bill Hagerty. We also want to recognize the families that are here today. Now, Mr. Lohmeier, you've been nominated to be the Undersecretary for the Department of the Air Force. If confirmed, you would run the day-to-day operations of the Department of the Air Force and assist the Secretary in leading the largest fleet of aircraft and space assets in the world. Most importantly, you would be responsible for managing the hundreds of thousands of men and women who make up the Air Force and Space Force. Mr. Lohmeier, I must confess I have deep concerns about your ability to represent these men and women. While I appreciate your past military service, your record of troubling conduct in uniform, extreme partisanship, and animosity towards military members with whom you disagree politically is, in my view, disqualifying to be the Undersecretary. We must acknowledge your record of behavior and statements. In 2021, while you were an active duty Space Force Lieutenant Colonel in command of a large formation, you self-published a book titled Irresistible Revolution, Marxism's Goal of Conquest and the Unmaking of the American Military. The book argues that Marxism is rampant within the ranks and is leading to the collapse of our military and our society. As you wrote, and I'll quote, "To be perfectly clear, the path we're on as a country leads to fratricidal and genocidal warfare." While still on active duty and command, you went on a far-right podcast which was known for spreading misinformation and conspiracy theories to advertise your book. All this is done without knowledge or approval of the Department of Defense. You were immediately relieved of command when your book and podcast were discovered. After leaving the Space Force, you have continued to write and speak extensively about Marxism in the military. You appeared on dozens of podcasts and panels and made hundreds of social media posts about this specific issue. As you write in your book, Irresistible Revolution, I quote, "In one respect, U.S. military service members are no different than members of the People's Liberation Army. Each is composed of humans who share a common nature. Because we share the same nature, what Marxist ideology does to the Chinese military service members, it will do to the American." Mr. Lohmeier, I've read much of your writing, and frankly, I would question your interpretation of Marxism. Nonetheless, I would make one point clear. I'm concerned that you have a misguided opinion of American military service members and their leaders. If confirmed, you would lead an organization that, like the country it represents, is composed of Republicans, Democrats, independents, men and women of all races, creeds, and sexualities, yet your language suggests that you regard many of these men and women as adversaries to be rooted out and purged from the force. I would ask that you explain why service members and civilians who do not share your political opinions can trust that they will not be targeted under your tenure. Just as importantly, I hope you will pledge not to seek retribution against any military members or civilians with whom you have disagreed and publicly criticized in the past, especially as many of them would serve under you, if confirmed. I hope you will address these issues thoroughly and truthfully during your testimony. The Department of the Air Force faces enormous challenges in the years ahead. I want to ask for your views on how you will address them. Mr. Overbaugh, you have been nominated to be Deputy Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence and Security. If confirmed, you would serve as a principal intelligence advisor to the Secretary of Defense and would oversee the defense intelligence enterprise. Your experience in the special operations and intelligence communities would serve you well in this role. Among many issues you would oversee is the complicated network of defense intelligence agencies. These agencies, DIA, NRO, NSA, and others, continue to face challenges in efficiently coordinating intelligence among themselves and providing adequate resources to joint all-domain military operations. Such operations require split-second targeting support, and I would like to know how you would ensure their success. Mr. Zimmerman, you have been nominated to be Assistant Secretary of Defense for International Security Affairs. If confirmed, you would be the principal advisor to the Undersecretary of Defense for Policy and the Secretary of Defense on international securities that relate to Europe, Russia, the Middle East, Africa, and the Western Hemisphere. I would note your experience as a career CIA officer with expertise in several of these regions. If confirmed, one of your challenges would be to ensure we continue to have cooperation and support from partners and allies in Europe and the Middle East. and I'm deeply concerned about the administration's comments and actions regarding NATO and Ukraine. As the administration continues to expand its large campaign against the Houthis in Yemen, it would be more important than ever that we have reliable friends abroad to assist us in other areas. Mrs. Zimmerman, I would like to know your plans for balancing U.S. long-term international security objectives against short-term demands. Thanks again to our nominees. I look forward to your testimonies. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.